After their poor recent form, I took it upon myself to rebuild Manchester United with the aim of winning the UCL trophy in 4 years as manager. So far, in our first 3 episodes, our first 3 seasons at the club, we've had some mixed results, but still have not yet won that coveted trophy. So before we get into this episode and the amazing transfers that I think we've brought in, let's quickly bring you up to date as to where we are so far. So spoilers ahead, go check out episode 1 to 3 if you haven't already, but let's see how things have gone. In terms of the league, it's been steady progress. In season 1, we finished in 5th place. The year after, a 2nd place finish with 85 points, losing out on the title by 2 points to Tottenham Hotspur. The year after, heartbreak again, a 2nd place finish, 8 points away from top of the table Manchester City. On a European front, we crashed out of the Europa League in season 1 in the semi-final to PSG. The year after, we lost to Spurs in the semi-final 5-3. And in our 3rd year, we lost the Champions League final in penalties to Paris Saint-Germain. Now, there has been an FA Cup win in that time. We've been upgrading the facilities and really rebuilding the squad to a good level, but we're still lacking that major silverware to really call our time a success. But like I say, a lot of things have changed at the club. We've seen the likes of Maguire leave, as well as Casemiro, and Bruno Fernandes as well, but we've added quality with the likes of Schlotterbeck coming in, as well as Jeremy Frimpong, and even Samuel Meridian up front. But of course, even with all of that done, we've still only finished in 2nd place. We're yet to win a European trophy, so we had to make some more signings and sales this summer to try and take this club to another level, and I think we've had a fantastic window. So let's start with the sales. The first one was a loan out for our man Marcus Edwards, who's gone to Atalanta for the season. He wasn't playing as much as he wanted, so we're loaning him to Italy. There's a future fee in there should they want to buy him, but his time is pretty much up in a United shirt. Lucas Paqueta was good for 2 seasons, then didn't play much, so we loaned him out last year for the second half of it, where he did well enough to earn himself a move away. He has gone to Marseille for 4.3 million. We just wanted to get him off the books. Lisandro Martinez had came into the last year of his contract, and for that reason, he wanted a new one, but he was asking for far too much. I no longer believed he was a regular starting centre-back anyway. He played 17 times as a starter last season, and that was all, so I've sold him on Al-Shabaab, Saudi Arabia, 7.5 million. Obviously, we would normally get more, but he only had 1 year left on his deal. Oscar Zambrano proved to be a good signing for us in the end. We signed him originally from Liga de Quito for 2.7 million, and after a loan back there, he joined us, only played a few times across the course of a couple of years, and now we've sold him on to Al Weda in Saudi Arabia for just under 10 mil. Andre Onana was loaned out last season after we brought in a new goalkeeper, and now he's moved on permanently. He's gone to sign for Benfica over in Portugal for 20 million, which I think isn't too bad of a fee considering he went to Dortmund and then did not play at all on loan. And then we have a trio of players heading over to Newcastle, who already signed Mazraoui last season. They're playing under Antonio Conte currently, and they've now signed another 3. The first being Lewis Ferguson, who we picked up for 25 million, gave us 3 seasons of service before moving on for pretty much the same fee. Diego Dalot has also left the club, another one that decided it was time to move on for a new challenge because Frimpong came in last year and kind of took over his starting spot, so now he's moved for £34 million. And then there's Joshua Zirkzee, who also joins the Geordies. Now, he was with us originally, and then we loaned him out to Ajax last season in January, having not played much, and now we've sold him on for 37 million quid. With Højlund and Samu up top, there's no real space for him, and I think we've done all right in terms of the money we got. So, many sales, as you can tell, and with that, it meant we had to make some new signings to really bolster this squad and keep us at the level we already were, whilst hopefully adding some stars to push us on to that new high of hopefully winning the UCL. The most underwhelming signing of the lot is our new backup goalkeeper. We lost our man Bayandir last season to Besiktas, and with Onana leaving, there was no competition for Atabulu, so we have brought in Arnau Tenas from PSG, formerly of Barcelona and then of the French Giants. He's obviously got a lot of pedigree. 15 million quid was the fee, and he's happy to be a backup. We've added some depth to our right back and centre back position in one, with one signing of Belgian 25-year-old international Kylian Sardella, who we have picked up from Anderlecht for 23.5 million. He's been playing really well in Belgium, and he gives us good cover in a lot of areas and isn't expecting to be the main man, which is always good to have. Luke Shaw left at the end of his contract at the end of last season, meaning we were able to bring in a new left back to compete with Ryan Aït-Nouri, and we have gone for Italy's number 1 fullback, Matteo Ruggeri, or at least he is their number 1 fullback in this FM world. world. After some great years at Atalanta, continually getting better, he is going to be a brilliant player, I hope, for us. 60 million, big investment, but I'm hoping it will all work out. But there was one more big signing, and before we get on to him, I just want to ask you guys, if you could like the video, it really does help me out here on the channel. If we can get 500 likes, that would be amazing. And subscribe if you haven't as well, as we push for 50k subs. Everyone is appreciated. It really does help me out. And let me know what rebuild you want to see next. This is the end of the Manchester United series. Do you want to keep this format? Do you want to go back to the one-off rebuild? What do you want to see? Tell me down below and I'll do my best to make it happen. But speaking of doing my best to make something happen, when Lamine Yamal was available, I had to pull all the stops to bring him in. He has joined us, a 20-year-old Spaniard from Barcelona, where in this FM world, after the first season, he never really kicked on. I don't know if it was injuries or he got replaced in the team or he never developed, but he was available for 65 mil, which is a bargain. He's still 20. He's not the player that he is in real life just yet, but there is the potential there still for him to become one of the world's best. So we're going to give him that nurturing, give him the game time, and hopefully in a few years we can reap the rewards of one of the world's best wingers. Now, obviously, we still do have the January transfer window later down the line, but currently, this is what is considered our final best 11. We've got Atabulu in goal, age 25, one of Germany's best goalkeepers, with Frimpong, De Ligt, Schlotterbeck, and Ruggeri at the back, which I think is a very, very good defence, all of which aren't too old either. I mean, De Ligt is probably the oldest at 27, I would have thought. Schlotterbeck, also 27 in their prime. In the midfield, it's Ugarte, Mainu, and Mason Mount for a very strong midfield lineup. Then it's Garnacho, Rashford, and Højlund. Interestingly, with all the business we've done, it's still that starting front three that we originally inherited that's doing so well. Garnacho's developed really well, Rashford has been exceptional, and Højlund, I think, is edged out by Samu, but the game clearly doesn't think so. Either way, though, there's so many talents on the bench and in the reserves that we are absolutely stacked for the future. And just to quickly show you that team balance, currently, this is our goalkeeping options. At right back is Frimpong and Sardella. At left back, Aït-Nouri and Ruggeri, with the centre backs being De Ligt, Schlotterbeck, Lenny Yoro, and Zeze. Yoro and Zeze have really been taking a backseat over the years, but now that we've moved on most of our defenders, they need to be ready to step up should anything happen to our main two. Then in the midfield, it's pretty much everyone that you expect. A real surprise has been Eric Jr. Dina Mbimbe, who joined us last season and did a pretty good job, despite me not really knowing who he is in real life. Then going forward, there's lots of options. Bargi and Yamal is great depth on the right wing with Garnacho too. But is this team ready to go on to win the Champions League? Well, the game is expecting a little bit more of us now, because last season the board only wanted a Champions League finish, top 4. Now they want us to win the Premier League. The season preview though suggests we should only finish in 5th place. 7-1 odds of winning the title. We've got some of the best players in the league. Supposedly Højlund is one of the best, and based on his form in recent years, it's hard to deny that. The Danishman has been great for us, but there's still 4 teams considered better than us: Jose Mourinho's Newcastle, Unai Emery's Man City, and Carlo Ancelotti's Arsenal, as well as Arne Slot's Liverpool still going strong. The board also want a Champions League quarter-final place, so we're going to have to push on in the UCL if we want to impress them and keep our job. And I would say so far our friendlies have gone pretty well. Won nearly all of them, as you would expect, bar a draw against Bayern, which is not a bad result at all. So everything was ready, our season was ready to go, and we were starting off at Old Trafford against Crystal Palace. And it was actually a pretty tough game. Palace scored 2, but we managed to score 3, all of them coming from our Danish forward Højlund. But clearly we weren't as prepared as we thought, because in our second game we went away to Tottenham Hotspur. We did get off to a flyer pretty early on, Frimpong finding Højlund to make it 1-0, and there was a second just before half time, Frimpong onto Garnacho, who made it 2. Spurs started a comeback in the second half though, Maddison playing a ball forward which found En-Nesyri onto Kulusevski to make it 2-1. And I'm not going to show every goal, but let's just say things kind of unravelled from there, because the game ended up finishing 4-2. We conceded 4 in the second half, a very underwhelming result, particularly considering I thought we'd started everything well, the transfers looked good, I thought this really could be our year. It was time for redemption in our next game though, against rivals Leeds at Ellen Road. We managed to take the lead after an own goal, but once again we just did not get the result we expected. Leeds got an equaliser after a brilliant shot, and in the 95th minute of all times, a goal kick poorly taken from Atabulu found Ramazani, who scored and we lost. So the start of our season was already so mixed, but it got even weirder in the next game, because we beat Newcastle 7-0, a team predicted to finish second. I really don't know what was going on. Rashford scored 4, Mainu with 2, and Mbembe with 1, and I just did not know where we stood at this point of the season, but I was hoping over the next few months we might be able to pick up some form. And pick up form we did, because in the Champions League phase we beat Inter 4-1, and in the next game it was AC Milan who we beat 3-0. We put 4 past West Ham without reply, and we barely dropped any points over the next 3 months. We were winning games comfortably, beating opposition that I would have considered on a similar level to us, but we had a big test coming up, Liverpool at Old Trafford. And it looked like it was going to be a good day right from the start, because with only 20 seconds on the clock, some poor play from Liverpool found Højlund, who managed to score, and not too long after that, a Ruggeri ball into the box found Højlund, who nodded down for Mainu to make it 2. The first half goal fest continued after a third coming from a set piece eventually knocked in at the back post, and we weren't stopping there. In one of the most explosive first halves of football we've had in our whole tenure, Marcus Rashford made it 4. But why score 4 when you can score 5? Ruggeri playing a cross in against the back post, pushed away to the edge of the area. Marcus Rashford, what a strike, 5-0, and we absolutely dispatched Liverpool, made it look like an easy win, and that was our big test coming up to the January window. The only other one that we had to face off against was Man City away from home. Now against Liverpool we scored after 20 seconds, but against Man City they scored after 20 seconds and managed to beat us. We followed that up with a 3-3 draw against Arsenal, an away loss to Aston Villa, and a loss to Liverpool in our second fixture against them just before Christmas. So it had been a really good start, but after that little flurry of bad results towards the January transfer window, we currently weren't sitting top anymore. In fact, we were now sitting in 4th place, but only 3 points away from the top of the table, which shows you just how close it was between us, Arsenal and Spurs. Meanwhile though, the Champions League, we had played 6 and won 6, some great results there, and we had made it to the Carabao Cup semi-final where we were up against Man City. But of course, if it's Christmas time, it means January's around the corner, and if January's around the corner, it means we can make some transfers to hopefully improve this team. Now, I didn't really go crazy. There was only 1 incoming and 1 outgoing. The outgoing was Ryan Aït-Nouri, who aged 26, decided he wanted more game time, and it was hard to blame him. Ruggeri had came in and really made that spot his own, so he's now moved on for pretty much the same fee that we bought him for from United Arab Emirates club Al Jazeera. But the player we signed was one for the future. A new gem from Palmeiras in Brazil, his name is Renato Luis. We kept him on loan there, he cost 12 million, and whilst we won't get to use him, he is one that you guys will get to continue with should you continue the save files over on Patreon. Now just a word/announcement on Patreon, it's something that I'm looking to put more energy into and make a better place for you guys going forward. So not only will the save files be available on there, but we'll be doing giveaways, live chats, advice on your saves, and even we'll be looking at doing early video release with no advert viewing, of course, over on Patreon, so you'll be able to view these episodes a little bit earlier over there, because the people over there really help support me as a creator, particularly in this time where FM25 has been pushed back so long. Obviously it will affect my revenue, so by improving that Patreon, hopefully, obviously it will help me out, but also give plenty of perks back to you guys and benefits that makes it worthwhile in being there. That's in the description if anyone wants to check it out. But let's get back to our season with Manchester United. Our final year here, all our transfers were done, and we were hoping this team would be ready for Champions League glory. But first up, we had a Carabao Cup final. That's right, we knocked out rivals Man City in the semi-final to make this match, but unfortunately, we were up against another rival in Liverpool. After 4 minutes though, Mainu gave us the opener, but on the 7-minute mark, Liverpool hit back. Szoboszlai on the right wing, managing to beat his opponent, found Rafael Leao with the easiest header in the world to make it 1-1. And in extra time, Curtis Jones pounced on an error with only 3 minutes left on the clock to pick the ball up on the right wing. He found Darwin Núñez, who scored and won the trophy for Liverpool. So that really didn't bode well for the rest of our season. We lost the Carabao Cup final, we had already lost the Champions League final last year, we've been runners-up in the league so many years in a row now, and I just feel like we might end up being the maybe team in this rebuild, but we had started to pick up some more form in the league. Man Utd helped us beat Newcastle 2-0 at St James's Park, we dispatched Everton 4-0 on a comfortable victory, and our good form continued with us beating Arsenal 4-2 at the Emirates, giving us a real leg up in the title race. But whilst doing all of that, we were focusing a lot on the Champions League too, where we had started going through the knockout rounds. Because after beating Atletico Madrid in the round of 16 in the quarters, we came up against Real Madrid and Ugarte put us 1-0 up. Before Real Madrid followed in with a corner goal through Camavinga, Rooney Bargi though in the second half helped make it 2 with a corner into Samu, and finally a goal that wasn't a corner in the 88th minute. We managed to get a 3-1 advantage at Old Trafford, Frimpong onto Ugarte, who powered it home. But despite a lot of pressure at the Bernabeu, we managed to hold out, and in the 84th minute we secured the win, Dina and Bimbe making it 1-0 on the night, 4-1 on aggregate, and we were heading to a Champions League semi-final for the second year in a row. Our opponents, Bayern Munich, and it was Harry Kane, the former Manchester United target, who gave them the lead at Old Trafford. But in the second half we did manage to get one back, Rashford driving into the area, managing to find his boy Kobbie Mainoo to make it 1-1. So it all rested on a single one-off match at the Allianz to decide who is going to the Champions League final. Bayern had the home advantage and made it 1-0 for Elise, 2-1 on aggregate, but in the 60th minute a penalty from Kochu pulled a goal back, and clearly that had given us some momentum, because 2 minutes later Rooney Bargi found Rasmus Højlund, who managed to score past Diogo Costa to give us a 1-goal advantage. And as the game closed out, that 1 became 2, Mason Mount dribbling past his man, finding Sardella in that right back spot, one of our new signings, into Højlund, and we got the win. So that meant at the end of the season we'd be playing a Champions League final, but before we got there we had to finish our Premier League title run-in. Our last 2 games of the season were against Brentford and Aston Villa. First up was Brentford, with Man City and us neck and neck really in the title race, and we managed to make it 1-0 through Garnacho. A second was added later on through Frimpong, and we made it 3, Kobbie Mainoo finding Rooney Bargi back to Samu to get the winner. Now at this point we were top of the table with 1 game to go. Man City were behind us, and if they were to win and we were to lose, it would go down to goal difference, which we did not want, so we needed to make sure we got a point away against Brentford to secure the title. Now a win would have been much more comfortable against Brentford, but we didn't get that, and you might be wondering why you're watching this clip from the kickoff at the start of the game, and that's because there was no goals. Nothing happened in this match. It was 0-0, and if you're paying attention, you would know that that point would be enough to win the Premier League title. And we had done it in some style. I mentioned we didn't want it to go to goal difference, but with that being said, if it had done, we would have absolutely cruised it still. We had way more over Man City come the end of the season. 82 points, only 1 more point than Man City, and actually less points than we'd got in our 2 previous years in the league, I believe. So it just shows you we needed luck. We need us to do well and everyone else not to do so great, and 82 points was enough to win the title. A very competitive season. City and Arsenal all pretty close to us, but we got the job done. Rashford with the most assists, Højlund with some of the most goals in the league as well. A brilliant year, but could we top it off with the trophy we were here to win, the Champions League final? Last year, you'll remember, we lost in penalties to PSG, so you can imagine my shock when we were facing off against the French giants again. Our team on the day was a great combination of players that we had bought in and players that are still currently at Manchester United in real life, and one of those, Marcus Rashford, helped Højlund get the opening goal, and to complete the day, Marcus Rashford hit a long-range free kick, and that goal helped secure a Champions League trophy for Manchester United, a Premier League win, a UCL win. We set out to do it in 4 years, and thankfully we managed to do it, making progress every single season. At the same time, we got the club's facilities to a brilliant place with some of the best in the world, and financially, whilst the club balance doesn't look great, we'll get some Premier League money in soon, which will actually sort that out, and the debts and loans started off way higher than this, nearly £1 billion I believe at the start, and now we only owe 200 million in debt, so we've improved that as well. And what we've really built here is a team spirit at United where everyone is contributing. I mean, Yamal was one of our best players this season, even though he only scored twice. We had Højlund with 36, Rashford with 28, 13 goals from Garnacho, 22 from Kobbie Mainoo, who has become one of the world's best midfielders at this point. Mason Mount, Rooney Bargi, Frimpong, even Erkan Koçu managed to chip in with 13 goals across the course of the year. 9 from Dina and Bimbe, Samu Amoradian scoring 13 goals as well. We've really got a team stacked with talent that is is ready to go for the future. So if any of you want the save files from this on the Patreon, you can join in at a certain point and do a better job than I did, or continue from here on out with a brilliant Manchester United team, which hopefully you can turn into regular league winners and Champions League winners. I'm very happy with this rebuild. Obviously, this has been a new format to what we've normally done. A multi-episode rebuild isn't something I've done for a long time. So let me know if you enjoyed it. Thanks for all the support on the series. I've put 2 episodes out at the time of recording so far, and it's all gone very well. So thank you all for it. Check out the Patreon, like the video, subscribe, but most of all, thanks for all the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.